There's one golden rule when it comes to HDR calibration for games. Never, and I like to repeat myself, never trust an HDR calibration screen like that, because most of the time they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Follow my guide, follow my explanation, and I will make sure you have the best HDR experience. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. What are we doing in this video today is very simple. We're taking a closer look on the HDR implementation in Gears of War Reloaded on the Xbox Series and the PC version. I don't have the PlayStation 5 version at this very moment, but I'm pretty sure in regards to HDR there is no difference, because that's most of the time the cases when I compare games on different platforms. In regards to HDR, there's literally no difference. Let's get into it. Let's start with HDR for Gears of War Reloaded. And as always, first things first. Gears of War Reloaded does not support the HDR system level calibration on the Xbox Series X as seen here, and also not on the PC version. Again, I couldn't test the PlayStation 5 version, but I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same. So again, Gears of War Reloaded does not support the HDR system level calibration. And if a game does not support the HDR system level calibration on the console or PC, that's not a deal breaker as long as we have proper HDR settings in the game where we can adjust the picture as we like it or according to our screen capabilities. So in this case, we have actually really nice settings and exactly what we need or what I like to see in HDR games, but unfortunately there is a little bit of an issue. And the values what you can see here right now are the standard factory setting when you start the game for the very first time. We have the brightness setting set to 140. By the way, I consider the brightness setting as the paper white setting because it's actually adjusting the whole screen. It's getting brighter or darker. Then we have the contrast setting, which is set to 50. Contrast is more or less responsible for giving you more shadow details or less shadow details. Also very important for the HDR black level floor. We're talking about this in a second. And then last but not least, we have the HDR brightness setting, which is the maximum peak brightness setting or maximum peak brightness for specular highlights. And right now, this set to 1000, we're actually getting 1000 nits here on this HDR calibration screen. Just keep in mind in the intro I told you don't trust this, okay? But if we would trust this, you can actually see 1000. This is actually perfect, really perfect. So of course we would now expect the same in the game, but unfortunately that's not the case, because when we're now looking here at the maximum peak brightness, we have actually way less than 1000 nits, just 650 nits roughly, okay? This is the problem what we have with the HDR calibration in Gears of War, and this counts for the Xbox Series X, S as well of course, and also the PC version. Again, I'm not quite sure what the PlayStation 5 version is doing, but I have a lot of experience now with HDR implementations in games, and I'm pretty sure the PlayStation 5 version has the same issue as the Xbox and PC version. But now, of course, the question is, what do we need to do to get the correct HDR peak brightness setting for your screen, TV or monitor? So in my case, it's the LG G4 maximum peak brightness, roughly around 1500 nits, 1500 nits. So let's just give it a try. Let's just set this to 1500 nits. Let's just say I like to have my brightness set to 150. We're talking about contrast in a little bit or a little bit later. Let's just give it a try, and we would now of course expect 1500 nits, but have a look here. It's not even close to 1000. We have 900 nits roughly, okay? So this is really a problem. And what I found is it's not just that the maximum peak brightness setting is not reacting as it should be. The brightness setting is actually important because the brightness setting is affecting the maximum peak brightness setting here. So let's just quickly set this to 500. I would not recommend to do that, but just have a look now what we're talking about now, 1300 nits roughly for specular highlights. Of course, setting the brightness setting to 500 is terribly wrong because it's just overblown all the details. You can't see any proper details actually in specular highlights. So just let's get this back to a standard or a normal value. Let's say, and I did a lot of testing, okay? Let's say you like to have 1500 nits for the LG G4 and you like to keep the brightness at roughly around 150. you have to use the HDR brightness set to 3200, and then you get roughly a little bit more actually than 1500 nits. But now the picture looks absolutely fantastic in my opinion. We have great specular highlights. We have, in terms of the paper white setting or average picture brightness setting, a really great experience. The only thing what is left is actually the game looks slightly washed out. So let's talk about HDR black level floor. Let's talk about contrast. And in regards of contrast, I have a very, very quick recommendation actually. Increase this setting to 60 or 70. I wouldn't go higher than 70 because I found that you actually start losing some very fine details in shadows when you go to 80 or even higher. So 70, in my opinion, that's my opinion, is the maximum. But I like to use 70 actually because I found this makes the game much, much better. We still have absolute fantastic specular highlights, 1600 nits, 1500 nits for the HGiG4. The average picture brightness is slightly lower now because contrast is also affecting the midtones slightly, but we have a much better HDR black level floor, okay? And we have much better contrast. So again, my recommendation is increase contrast to at least 60 maximum, and that's what I prefer, 70. And I know exactly what you're now asking for. You like to know what is the best setting for your TV screen or monitor. And as always, it's not that simple, but I did a little bit of testing. Have a look at this table here. I did testing for 1500 nits, 2000 nits and 2500 nits. Just keep in mind, in order to get 2000 nits for specular highlights in this game, you need to set the brightness setting to 250. Otherwise, you're not reaching 2500 nits in specular highlights. Again, the brightness setting, unfortunately, is also affecting the maximum peak brightness setting. So, but if you follow my guide here, my table here, you get the best experience for 1500 nits, 2000 nits, 2500 nits. Okay, my friends, before we end this video, let's talk about one thing, Dolby Vision Gaming. I had a couple of comments and some of them saying, hey, this game supports Dolby Vision Gaming. And yes, it does support Dolby Vision Gaming as many other games, but not natively, okay? So you can use on the LG OLED TVs or supported monitors, you can use Dolby Vision for gaming, but again, it's not native. Dolby Vision will use, in this case, the HDR10 metadata, and in most cases, it's actually not the best idea to do so, okay? So at least on the HGiG4, as far as I know, that's my experience, Dolby Vision Gaming is slightly worse than HDR10 gaming. But again, that's my experience, that's my opinion. If you prefer Dolby Vision Gaming on your LG OLED TV, monitor or screen or anywhere else, just go for it. But please keep in mind, it's not natively supported. Okay, my friends, so that's it now for this video. I have two dead people, I think, or at least injured people. I should take care about this, but hey, videos first, okay? So again, this was just a very quick video. I hope I can get back into doing more videos. Metal Gear Solid is on my PC installed, the latest remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it. Again, I don't have a console version for Metal Gear, but I'm pretty sure if I'm checking the HDR implementation on this game, it's the same on the console or PC. At least that's the case here. Xbox Series X version and the PC version is absolutely the same when it comes to settings. No issues at all. Now, there are issues actually, as I have shown, but there is no difference between console and PC version. Okay, so again, let me know what you think about this game. Let me know how do you think the HDR implementation is done in this game. I like it. Honestly, it's not the best, you know, in terms of details, what you can see in specular highlights, but honestly, you never have the time anyway to look at those details. So more important is actually contrast, and with setting contrast instead of 50 to 70, this is what you get, and I really do like it, especially on the HGiG4. When you play this game in a darker environment, this looks absolutely fantastic in my opinion. So let me know in the comment section what do you think. Let me know in the comment section if you like to have more videos of this in this kind of style, because it's actually much easier for me to produce them, because I know we don't have a lot of side-by-side comparisons as I shown you in previous videos actually, you know, in terms of what the settings actually are doing. But believe me, those side-by-side comparisons taking so much time, and I need to make sure they're recorded properly. And I think you get my point here, okay? I'm trying to do best HDR settings in very quick videos, so make sure you like, share, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.